In the mid-2000s, Pro Wrestling Noah kept Japanese wrestling thriving, while the biggest companies in the country floundered. Their changes in management and involvement with the Yakuza almost destroyed the company. But now Noah has righted their ship through the storm and were even the site of a match that just 3 years ago would have seemed impossible. This is the rise, the fall, and rebirth of Pro Wrestling Noah. The story of Noah actually begins in late 80s, early 1990s All Japan Pro Wrestling. It was a place where some of the hardest hitting heavyweight matches ever took place. When Eddie Kingston sings the praises of All Japan on Dynamite, this is the time frame he's talking about. All Japan had some of the best heavyweights in the world step into their ring. Kenta Kobashi, Bruiser Brody, Jun Akiyama, Tenryu, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Stan Hansen, Mitsuharu Misawa, and of course its founder, Giant Baba. In January of 1999, Giant Baba passed away, leaving his wife Motoko as owner and their top star Misawa as president. After just over a year, Misawa and others grew increasingly frustrated with the direction of the company, and in May of 2000, Misawa announced he was leaving All Japan. In fact, 24 of their 26 home talents left alongside him, showing their loyalty to the ace and his vision. In June of 2000, Pro Wrestling Noah was born. A perfectly fitting name taken from the biblical story of Noah and his ark, it was the perfect metaphor, highlighting the circumstances that led to the company's founding. A man rescuing everything needed to repopulate the world after a great disaster. In this case, it was to repopulate the Japanese wrestling world. You see, the Japanese pro wrestling scene in 2000 was at its lowest point maybe ever. Gone were the heights of New Japan in the 70s and early 80s, and All Japan's peak of the late 80s and early 90s died with Baba. The Japanese scene needed something fresh. Pro Wrestling Noah took its roster of living legends and underused talents and continued the legacy of 90s All Japan, but with some much-needed tweaks. Noah stacked their roster with talent that could provide absolute classic heavyweight bouts, with Kenta Kobashi and Misawa delivering some of the best matches of the decade. But they also presented some of the best young junior heavyweights, something New Japan had found success with in featuring innovators like Tiger Mask and Dynamite Kid. All Japan, however, was never able to embrace the smaller, faster workers. Noah brought talents like Marufuji, Taiji Ishimori, and Kenta to the forefront. Noah had now established itself a perfectly balanced roster, and also included foreign talent like Vader, Juventud Guerrera, and Too Cold Scorpio. Pro Wrestling Noah was ready to take the fight to the established Big Two of Japan, and fight they did. And by the mid-2000s, Noah was considered by many to be the best promotion in the country. New Japan was faltering due to Inoki's insistence on filling his roster with shoot fighters to both gain ground on MMA's boom in the country and to prove that pro wrestling was the top form of combat. And All Japan had yet to find its footing post-Exodus. This time also saw the rise of several stars. Aside from immediate breakout stars Kenta and Marufuji, there was Go Shiozaki, Nakajima, and of course, Takeshi Morishima. Morishima had left All Japan as a young lion, and he slowly built his reputation as the heir apparent to Kobashi and Misawa in the heavyweight division. He was 300 pounds, he hit hard, and he carried an unreal amount of force in his moves. He was a monster. Everything that Noah was doing was working, as it would be named Promotion of the Year by Wrestling Observer in 2004 and 2005. Around this time, Noah would enter into a working agreement with Ring of Honor in the US. The partnership was beneficial to both parties. ROH got extended tours from stars like Kenta and Marufuji, and rare US appearances from Kobashi and Misawa. ROH even gave a dominant world title reign to Morishima in 2007. And Noah in return got exposure in the US, as well as talents like Chris Hero, the Briscoes, Bryan Danielson, and many more. They even helped put the incredible Kota Ibushi on the map. Noah was riding high, but soon tragedy would befall the promotion. On June 13, 2009, during a tag team match in Hiroshima, Misawa would take a belly-to-back suplex 10 minutes into the match, a move he had taken hundreds of times before. This time, however, he did not get up. He laid motionless. The match was stopped as medical personnel attempted to revive him. They were unsuccessful and sent him to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Misawa's family invoked a Japanese law that kept the cause of death from being released publicly. However, it's been speculated and reported to have been due to a separation of the first and second cervical vertebrae. Mitsuharu Misawa was just 46 years old. Noah's management informed the roster of his death later that night, while also informing them that they could not afford to cancel the remaining dates on the tour. Due to their wrestling obligations, many Noah talents missed Misawa's funeral on June 18th. Misawa's death, while largely ignored by the mainstream Japanese press, was covered heavily by the Japanese sports media. And of course, condolences poured in throughout the wrestling world. CM Punk even wrote Misawa on his wrist tape for Raw 2 nights later. And what followed the death of the founder almost led to the death of his promotion as well. On July 4th, Noah held a memorial service for Misawa. They had expected 5,000 to attend. Instead, the crowd ballooned to over 26,000. The day following the service, Akira Tao was officially named President of Pro Wrestling Noah, with Kenta Kobashi and Naomichi Marufuji being named Vice Presidents. The elevations of Kobashi and Marufuji caused Noah and All Japan co-founder Mitsu Momota to be demoted from VP to advisor, and eventually to quit entirely. It was actually Momota who had suggested Kobashi be given the position of VP, not intending himself to be replaced. This, along with other disputes during the change, led him to quit. And other management changes to follow would prove costly to the promotion. After the departure of Momota, wrestler Haruka Eigen was named advisor, as well as announcer Ryu Nakata being named general manager. Later in 2009, Noah would lose their weekly Sunday night time slot on Nippon TV, sending the company into even more dire straits financially. In 2011, rumors and a story of potential ties to the Yakuza started to circulate in Japanese wrestling circles, but nothing fully confirmed. By 2012, the promotion was still just treading water, existing but seemingly only hanging on week to week. Management butted heads over how to best move forward, splitting into 2 camps. VP Kobashi pushing that the promotion remain loyal to talent and not make cuts to the roster, with GM Nakata pushing for cuts. And Tao sided with Nakata. All of this would come to a head in March of 2012 when released wrestler Yun Izumida took part in an expose book and confirmed not only the Yakuza involvement with Noah, but that Nakata and Eigen were directly involved. The Black Money scandal, as it would become known, was as simple as it was complicated. A Yakuza-tied couple had become lead sponsors for several Noah wrestlers. Sponsorship is a long-held tradition in Japanese wrestling and MMA. You pretty much pay for wrestlers you like, either their travel, lodging, or their fee for a match. I've seen it described as a Yakuza money mark. And how did this couple obtain all of this money to sponsor these talents? Well, they scammed folks, of course, mostly the elderly. They even conned the widow of Misawa. It was a Ponzi scheme, or like Max Bialystock in The Producers. While Yakuza involvement in Japanese combat sports is incredibly common, it's also a taboo to have Yakuza connections for obvious reasons. This was a major black eye to the promotion. They were already off television, but now a return seems slim to none. Tao took immediate but half-assed action. Nakata and Eigen were removed from management positions, but stayed employed. The company also implemented new anti-Yakuza protocols and made all employees undergo training about how to avoid Yakuza connections. At the end of the year, Kobashi, a foundational talent for the promotion, departed Noah. He would retire from in-ring action in January of 2013. The next couple of years would see even more departures and management shakeups, including homegrown stars Kenta and Morishima leaving the company, Kenta to join WWE, and Morishima being forced to retire due to a blood disease. His story would only become sadder over time. In 2015, Noah entered into a partnership with New Japan that saw Jado take over booking duties. It didn't improve their fortunes much, and the partnership crumbled only a year later. Also in 2016, Noah would be purchased by Japanese IT company Estby. Again, the next few years would bring more of the same. Dwindling houses, constant roster changes, and no clear direction to improve. 2019 would bring the most changes to Noah yet. They were bought out again, this time by Lidet Entertainment, who purchased a 75% stake in the promotion. Ledet would also rebrand the company by changing its logo to a more generic look with a plain font and red and black color scheme. This change also removed the iconic green canvas. In January 2021, Noah was purchased a final time as of this video by CyberAgent, the parent company of DDT Pro. This merged the two companies into CyberFight, with Noah and DDT acting as separate brands. The new ownership has brought a renewed attention to Noah, their events being heavily pushed on Fight TV and CyberFight's own DDT Wrestle Universe streaming service. They also brought back green into the logo.
They've rebuilt with established Golden Age stars like Go Shiozaki, Nakajima, and Marufuji, while building new stars like Hayata, Kano, and Kato Kiyomiya.
Noah has also brought in some of the best foreign talent again, like Timothy Thatcher and Ninja Mac.
And now, in 2023, they've come so far from the brink that they were able to get WWE's help in putting together one of the final matches for the legendary Great Muta.
What else lies ahead for Noah is unknown, but their future is certainly brighter than it's been in almost a decade. And I'm pretty happy to see them back on the upswing. If you've never checked out Noah before, I hope you'll give them a chance after this video. They're putting out some great wrestling. And if you liked this brief look back at Noah's history and want more, I suggest checking out Puro Power's 4-part in-depth series about Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm Scott from WrestleSpective. Thanks for watching.